on question.
Number 8, yeah. And the main question was from Honorable Smith, and the supplementary questions are from Honorable Mabuza, that we've dealt with. The next one is Honorable Matlangu, which we are supposed to be dealing with now, and the last one is supposed to be Honorable Klute. If you can just go to question 8.
Right. Thank you, Chairperson. I thought I should answer the main question first before taking supplementary questions.
Agreed. Agreed. What's
I haven't.
That's how it should be. That is how it should be.
Can I just on the point, Chair? The Deputy President is correct. You have taken follow-up questions. So there's a main question on the second question that must be responded to. And I think the Deputy President is in order. We can proceed in that fashion.
On a point of order, please, Chair.
Yes, honorable members, let's just ensure that we don't get off the rails and move in all kinds of direction. We have dealt with question number 7, and the question number 7, the main question was posed by Honorable Matibe. We proceeded to supplementary questions, and the supplementary questions were asked by Honorable Klute, Honorable Boshoff, and Honorable Smith. We are now on question number 8. The main question there was asked by Honorable Smith. It was supposed to be asked by Honorable Labus Kahne, but there's some changes there. So the first main question was asked by Honorable Smith. And the supplementary questions are 3. Those supplementary questions come from Mabuza, Matlangu, and Klute. We are now on responses, Honorable David President, from the supplementary.
I'm rising on a point of order, Chairperson. Chairperson, we cannot be confused at the beginning of the session. You have taken a lot of follow-up questions on question number 7, including the one of Matlangu. That is actually wrong. Can we move according to the sequence of the questions so that members who have asked questions on the question paper do not get confused? We're now being confused at the beginning of the session, Chair, and it's incorrect, absolutely incorrect.
There's no confusion.
Person.
We've done question 7. We're now on question 8. We're done with the supplementary questions from Kause. And we're now dealing with the supplementary question from Matlangu.
On a point of order, Chair, can I?
Point of order, please, Chair.
Yes.
Chair. Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, I'm here, Chair. Thank you very much. I'm just waiting for us to come. Chairperson, please, just a case of the sequence of events. Once a question is asked, the question that has been posed to the President in writing must be answered first. As that is being done, the hands that have been raised are supposed to be lowered and a fresh round of hands to be put up and recognized for the next round. That did not happen in this instance, Chairperson. So in order to be fair, as the Deputy President is answering the question that was provided to him beforehand, the process is all of those hands in the right-hand column, the blue hands, the electronic hands get lowered, and then a fresh opportunity is given to members, just like it happens in the House, Chair. If we can ask for that to take place, and then we all get a fair chance to put our hands up in sequence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I'd like to plead with you. Please allow the situation to unfold so that we deal with all the issues. We've done with Honorable Kause. Honorable Mashango has raised the question, can we get the Deputy President to respond to that?
Point of order, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair.
Chairperson,
The Deputy President proceed.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair, point of order. It's Honorable Smith.
What's the point of order?
Honorable Chair, the Deputy President did not answer the question 8 that was raised by the Honorable Kathy Labuskaghni that I am sitting in for. And then in terms of normal process, the first supplementary question is directed to the member who raised the original question. So I should have the opportunity to raise the first follow-up question, in fact. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to you then, Honorable Smith.
House Chairperson.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable members, I'm not going to allow any disturbance from now onwards.
No, it's not a
Honorable
disturbance. It's a point of order. Chairperson.
Honorable
Honorable
Smith
Chair, let us.
claims that he didn't get an opportunity to
I'm
answer,
raising my hand.
to raise a supplementary question. So I'm asking Honorable Smith to do that.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair,
Honorable
Yes.
Chair, let's assist.
it's Honorable
Yes.
Nyambi.
Oh, you
Honorable
Chair.
Nyambe.
Honorable Chair,
Yes.
the mistake that it's happening, Honorable Deputy President was supposed to start with the question that has
Yes.
been asked by Honorable Labuskaghni and Honorable Smith.
Labuskaghni is not here, and the question is
Yes,
therefore raised by Honorable Smith.
Yes,
yes,
Chair.
that question. Let's allow the Deputy President to respond to that question. After
Yes.
that, then we are going to recognize Honorable Smith.
Yes. Agreed, Chair.
First, allow the president, the deputy president, to respond to that question. Probably
Yeah.
some of the members will be covered in terms of the response from the deputy president. Then from there, we'll start recognizing Honorable Smith as the first person that will be standing for Honorable Labuskaghni. But now, it must be the
100%
deputy
correct.
president
Thank
first.
you very much. Let's just do that.
That's good. Yes.
Chairperson,
The President,
Chairperson, Honorable
This is a
Chairperson,
Zoom. They must raise their hands. It's a Zoom meeting. They must raise their hands, please.
yes, no, we should start with that. I think that's very helpful. Honorable Deputy President. On
thank
the
you very
question,
much, Honorable Chairperson.
yes, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm now responding to question 8.
Yes,
Through the government's land reform program, we are taking a very responsible and a measured path of restoration, of redress and dignity for all our people who are the real beneficiaries of their ancestral land. Although there's still much work to be done, which has been compounded by the devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic. We've found the work of the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development to be satisfactory. We are encouraged by the leadership focus and direction provided by the department to ensure that key policy and program interventions are developed and implemented to fast-track land reform. We have no doubt that the repositioning of the department, the overall institutional capacity has improved to ensure that government accelerate land reform. The minister's response to the National Assembly, referred to by the honorable member, provides a historical view of what government has accomplished through the implementation of various policy interventions to advance meaningful land reform. This includes investment that government has made in providing comprehensive farm development support to ensure that acquired restricted farm remains productive. Historically, various assessments and evaluations at national, provincial level have highlighted challenges that have impacted on the productivity of farms. Among others, this includes communal property association governance challenges, alleged corruption in land reform transactions, and inadequate post-settlement support due to fiscal constraint. For the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture, the functionality and productivity of land reform farms remains high on our agenda to ensure that agricultural sector promotes economic inclusion, increase aggregate production output, and contribute significantly to our desired economic growth. As part of this work, the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development has prioritized a comprehensive assessment of all land reform farms with a view of ensuring that appropriate policy intervention and post-settlement support measures are effectively implemented to enhance the productivity of all land reform farms. Based on the assessment of each farm, appropriate support packages will be designed and implemented to improve functionality and productivity. In this regard, the department has appointed a technical team to undertake this comprehensive work. It is expected will commence this work next month. Given the scope of what needs to be covered, this process may take up to 2 years. It is expected that interventions will be implemented on farms where assessments have been completed. Alongside this, the department has finalized a comprehensive producer-supplier support policy for approval by Cabinet. In terms of this policy, a more targeted and a differentiated approach to supporting various categories of farmers is being proposed. Based on the needs assessment of each farm, it is expected that land reform beneficiaries will be supported in a more focused and effective way. As part of this, coordinated farmer support centers will have to be implemented at district level to ensure that government support services are integrated and made accessible to all farmers. Farmers should always find it easy to access integrated suites of government services. This requires better coordination between national, provincial, and local government. While co-funding for land reform is expected to come from government, it has become clear that the fiscal space is constrained and limited, and therefore private sector capital and partnership are critical pillars for our funding and our financing model for all agricultural projects, including blended financing options for farmers who are beneficiaries of land reform farms. With specific regard to the Eastern Cape province, as alluded to in the honorable member's question, we've been advised that the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, while challenges remain, a great deal of progress has been made towards supporting all land reform funds. This is an ongoing post-settlement support that is provided by the department in terms of technical support, infrastructure, and mechanism to ensure that farms remain productive and functional. During the 2020-2021 financial year, land development support will be extended to the identified 147 projects within the proactive land acquisition strategy in all 9 provinces. This program speaks to the category of farms totaling 2.2 million hectares, which were acquired by the state and leased out to qualifying farmers with a view of expanding participation in the sector. These farms are on the books of government, and post-settlement support is provided on an ongoing basis. Going forward, all reform farms in the country will form part of this comprehensive assessment process that the department will undertake. All non-productive farms will be prioritized for specific support packages to ensure better functionality and productivity. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very
I can
much,
see
Chair.
you are restless now.
We'll now move on to the first supplementary question, which was supposed to be asked by Honorable Labuschagne, but which now will be asked by Honorable Smith. Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, it is quite horrifying that that the President and his government are satisfied to continue with land expropriation without compensation, despite there being, by admission of your department, Deputy President, your own cabinet colleagues, no proof of successful or failing land reform programs due to the absence of evaluation mechanisms of such programs. With 53 billion rand spent since 1994 and 3 billion rand in recapitalization, instead of dealing with what is a clear shortcoming of the department in terms of monitoring and evaluation processes, this government now wants to eradicate property rights to cover up their own failures. Will you undertake today to implement effective monitoring and evaluation systems so that South Africans can be fully informed of whether or not land reform efforts undertaken by this government since 1994 has been effective or not? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.
Point of order, Chair, before the Deputy President is Kaula.
Yeah, what's the point of order, Kaula?
I actually don't.
Taking chances. I didn't
Yes,
even
Chair.
to speak.
Chair, I actually don't have an icon to raise my hand in my device.
Okay, so what's your point of order?
When I might not be the only one, Chair. So when I raise my hand, it claps, but I'm not actually clapping. I'm raising my hand. Can you please take note of that? I may not be the only one. It may be any of us.
That's
yes.
not point of order.
Given the situation we're in with these virtual sittings, we're sympathetic, Kaul. Yes, no, siyabonga. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me firstly take this opportunity to condemn the killings of farmers and farm workers, and further indicate that farmers are a very important resource to our country and the nation. We'll continue to ensure that our criminal justice system responds decisively to such criminal acts that undermine this very sector and the economy as a whole. Coming to the question, Honorable Chairperson, yes, we are taking serious steps to assess the productivity of all land reform funds that were given to people that are not productive. I've said so that the department is undertaking this work, and out of that work, we are going to be guided of what needs to. This is intention solely to support these farmers. And we are saying the support that we are going to give to these farmers will be located at districts. We are going to use the district development model where all spheres of government will cooperate, will come together and support these farmers. So it's important to take a view of what went wrong in these farms. There are some farms that are very successful, but that does not mean that we should not.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Mletsane, thank you for the question. I think over years, the land reform program has yielded good results. Of course, when we assessed the progress made, we found some challenges in terms of the pace, the speed at which land gets transferred to their rightful owners. The willing buyer, willing seller approach was found to be very limiting. And therefore, that is why we are proposing this one way of ensuring that land is given back to their rightful owners as quickly as possible. Of course, all the farms that were transferred to people through the land reform program, yes, some of the farms are productive, some of the farms are lying fallow. Hence the assessment that the department is going to make with the intention of trying to improve these farms so that we increase the productivity of the country in terms of agriculture. We must not really confuse this land reform program with probably the evictions that are going on there. We're going to attend to these evictions, and we want to call upon all our farmers out there to be patient with government and the farm workers that are residing in their farms, so that before a farmer can take a decision to evict, let's have a discussion and see how best to deal with the problems of these farm dwellers who might need a place to reside. We have just agreed as government to release land for human settlement. And this is going to happen in all the towns. It's going to happen in all the farms where we think in a certain farm, people need to be relocated to a place which will be called their own place. Government will do that, but that should be allowed to happen by farmers who take the department into confidence and discuss options. It's not very good just to evict people and put them on the road. That is not really welcome. Yes, we agree that poverty is still a problem. That is why we want to increase productivity, want to open more and more space for new entrants in agriculture so that we can produce food for the nation. Thank you very much.
The next supplementary question is supposed to come from Mahlangu. Can you go to the post again on Mahlangu? This is number 8.
Ngiyathokoza Mcinisihlalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Angithokoze usekela Mongameli ngitsho kodwa ngithi sithokoza uzimu ngithokoza abezimu nabasiphilisele wena bakuphephisa
ancestors who saved you.
ngikhulumela lokhu ebangeni lePumalanga yonke nabantu bethu bonke beSouth Africa njengoba sesiye sakhuluma ecaleni asithi chebechebe sekela mongameli sixolise ngomraro owenzekile ekuthomeni nasengiza nombuzo lo sibe bengikhuluma sekela mongameli ngaloku esikutholileko sikundlalele ngungqongqoshe we small business ngaphakathi kwayo indlu le ehloniphekileyo mayelana ne sabo bomabhizinisi laba abanganako ichisakelo yokuhelebha abosomabhizinisi abasakhakhasawo manje umbuzo phezu kwalo sekela mongameli Mhlengu ithi question yami what measures will the government put in place to ensure that our people and black companies become beneficiaries of any private funding and financing model for agriculture, including blended financing options for farmers who are beneficiaries of land reforms for farming and farm ownerships. Ngiyathokoza sekela mongameli ngoba siyikomiti yapopulation na izolo besakhuluma ngoba into elathi umraro kubonakala ngathi kiyo yona le 15 billion rand kukhona abantu ababenefitako kukhona abantu abapharwa ngokuthi ngibo ababenefitako ukudlula abanye bamabala amanye la ku challenge khona iBEE siyathokoza kumbuso lo okhona ukuthi siyasakhona ukuthi si appropriation committee sabiza i-department yaka agriculture ne department yaka COCTA ne National Human Research Council ukuthi bazosi cacisela and abesizisoli thina ukuya ngendlela sibona ngakhona ukuthi iBEE ipolicy yombuso lo okhona angithokoze Mshengu.
Person on a point of order, please.
Deputy President.
Chair, before he continues, can I have a point of order?
Yeah, what's the point of order, brother?
Chairperson, it's actually a point of clarity. If the Honourable Mahlangu can just advise what she means by the phrase just to clarify the Deputy President's response. If you can just clarify who she means by...
Please. Please spare us the agony. Not the point of order.
Tutangana next week. Right. We'll meet next week.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me thank Honorable Mahlangu and for the support that was given to us during our period of illness and the entire members of this House. Thank you very much. Now, with regards to the question, we have got a program called a Proactive Land Acquisition Strategy that I've said the department or government has followed to acquire land. And in that strategy, we've acquired almost 2.2 million hectares. This land is leased to farmers. We are calling upon new entrances. Those who want to farm, they must apply to the department. There's still some farms that are available that can be leased to new entrances. And those entrances, new entrances, will then be supported. Now, there are various options. Of course, there's a grant that they will get from government. And of course, there's a loan that they can get also. That's why we call it a blended finance option. I'm aware that some small farmers have applied during this difficult time of COVID-19 for assistance. And some of them have not get the required assistance they so desire. We are prepared to probably open up again and listen to those farmers. We can direct those farmers to our office of the Deputy President and the office of the Minister of Rural Development, so that we can look at all these applications that they've made and see what kind of assistance that we can give. We're doing this because the intention at the back of our mind, we want to increase productivity. The country must produce food. So if we want to produce food, we must support those people that must produce food. So yes, we're willing to hear them and to see how best we can support them. The agricultural sector is one sector that can quickly turn the situation around in terms of our economic growth, trying to get people into employment and move people away from hunger. This is one sector that can turn things around. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Now for the last supplementary question, which is the fourth. Honorable Klute.
Thank you, Chairperson. And also thank you to the Deputy President for again acknowledging the importance to attend to farm attacks and farm murders. I also neglected to say earlier to him, I wish him good health. I also welcome the fact that he basically at the end of the question started speaking about food production and food security. Now, when we look at food or land, we need to see what the relationship between land reform and food security is. Now, a recent study by the Institute for Poverty, Land and Agrarian Studies warns that land reform now serves to preserve only the well-off. 44% of beneficiaries being urban-based business individuals, former state bureaucrats and local politicians. Only 18% of the farms that the Institute studied were allocated to farm workers, many of whom have left their unsuccessful farms to seek unemployment elsewhere. In fact, data gathered on 66 land reform projects across the country found that land reform has shifted from being pro-poor to being pro-elite. Also, the majority of land recipients have essentially dropped out of production as a result of the number of constraints on their farms. Also, Deputy President, only 1 out of 10 of the total 2.5 million small-scale farmers actually produce surplus food. The rest produce only for household consumption. Now, I'll put the link to the research and study on the chat bar, but history will judge you by your actions towards land reform and food security. Your party persists with the notion that white people stole land, but this study shows it is politicians and bureaucrats who actually keep land from the poor your government promised to serve. Now, my question is twofold. What is government doing to ensure that food security persists after land is reformed? And what measures have government implemented to ensure that land is not captured by political and bureaucratic elites?
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Klute. I'm very happy about your observation that food insecurity and hunger, poverty still persist. That means the legacy was too deep. The problem that affected farm dwellers, in the main Black people who are working in the farms, was too deep. Well, we are in the process of trying to address this problem, And of course, this is a journey, it's a very long journey. We are mindful of the hiccups and the challenges along the way. But with this process, with this renewed process, very, very much energized, we want to open access to land, allowing more and more young farmers, young people to enter the sector. We want to allow more and more women to enter the sector. We are starting to see some signs that are not very good in our society of gender-based violence, which probably some instruments to empower women must be put in place. We must also deliberately find a permanent place for farm workers. Farm workers that have been working in this farm for years and years and finally get evicted. So we must find them places where they can settle and have their families there, raise their families there. Of course, in the process, we should allow for small-scale farmers that are producing not for the sake of selling their food. They're just producing for subsistence. They want just to eat. They plow just good enough for them to eat. Now, these kind of farmers need to be supported. We must allay these fears that government wants just to take land from one kind of people, one sector of people to another sector of people. We are trying to redress the problem that was created in the past, but mindful that in that process of redressing, we don't create a new problem. As a country, we are going to foster nation building. We are going to ensure that there's social cohesion. We live together as a country, but that does not mean we should not redress the problems that we have inherited in the past. And we're going to do it in a manner that is constitutional. It will follow the law, nothing that is outside the law that is going to be done. The president has repeated this many a times. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We now come to question number 9, asked by Honorable Nita. Question number 9 asked by Honorable Nita. Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Chair, I was supposed to ask a follow-up question. I was supposed to check your list.
Supplementary questions allowed, Honorable China.
My party, the ANC, had
Now,
2 questions.
Listen first. Now, the first supplementary question was that which came from Honorable Smith. The second supplementary question came from Honorable Mletsani. The third supplementary question came from Honorable Mahlangu. And the fourth supplementary question came from Honorable Kluti.
No, my party, the ANC, had 2 questions. Had the first and the second, Chair. Please check your list in future, Chairperson. It's okay. I know it's okay.
Chairperson, on a point of order. Chairperson.
Work together.
On a point of order, Chairperson.
And honorable members. What's your point of order, Mugause?
Chairperson, we can't be abused here. People mentioning their party affiliation. We went according to sequence, and the sequence is that we've got 4 supplementary questions. If members don't acclimatize themselves with the procedures of the House, That is their problem. They must not tell
On
us.
a point of order, Chair.
Chairman,
Thank you very much.
order.
That's not the
Order
point.
of House,
Chair.
please.
We will proceed, honorable members, to question number 9, to the Deputy President, asked by a comrade, by Honorable Ngita, and Honorable Ngita afforded the first opportunity to respond. So the first question is from Honorable Ngita, Honorable Deputy President.
My hand is up, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chair, since the confirmation.
Okay, please proceed, Honorable Deputy
Since
President.
the confirmation of the first COVID-19 case in the country on the 5th of March this year, this pandemic has spread to all 9 provinces, with community transmission setting in, taking root. When the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a public health emergency of international concern, as government, we immediately took measures to ensure detection, referral, and management of these cases. This called for a better coordination and strengthened response to this pandemic. Therefore, some resources had to be reprioritized to ensure availability of diagnostic, personal protective equipment for frontline workers, and other emergency response supplies, as well as addressing critical gaps in the health and community systems. This included strengthening laboratory networks, supply chains, and community engagement. However, the reprioritization of resources to respond to COVID-19 did not mean diverting resources from HIV and TB. For instance, provincial departments of health have started experimenting with combining TB and COVID-19 screening at some of their locations in the districts in order to ensure continuity of this service. By offering HIV, community health workers across the country are screening for the coronavirus while conducting their normal door-to-door HIV and TB monitoring work, such as ensuring that patients are taking their antiretroviral medicine. Our government and its partner donors, including the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Response and the United Nations Global Fund for AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, are leveraging on the existing resources in order to assist the COVID-19 response. This is done while ensuring that HIV and TB services remain accessible to those who need them. The HIV and TB programs have integrated HIV testing and TB screening into the COVID-19 response programs. The Department of Health sets targets for HIV testing and treatment for those diagnosed and eligible for treatment initiation. The funds required commodities and medicines are based on our annual targets. These funds are ring-fenced through the Schedule 5 conditional grants and cannot be shifted prior to the approval of the accounting officer of the National Department of Health. Therefore, funds for HIV test kits and ARVs have not been reduced, have not been shifted in the current financial year 2020-2021 financial year. As honorable members will know, through the South African National AIDS Council, Other departments are also implementing programs that respond to HIV and TB. In this regard, measures announced by the Minister of Finance in the budget readjustment, which was tabled in Parliament in June 2020, clearly outlines government's commitment of ensuring that health and frontline services are not disrupted. Some of these programs and interventions include capacity building of social services practitioners, social and behavioral change programs, including those focusing on men and boys in response to addressing various social ills. During our COVID-19 oversight program, our visit to the Free State province, we witnessed the scaling up of this capacity as we handed out certificates to 92 social workers that the province was appointing to address social challenges that we have referred to above. We must assure our South Africans that despite the impact of colliding pandemics globally, it remains paramount that we put more emphasis to our program of fighting and supporting HIV and TB programs, as much as we are focusing our resources in addressing the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. So we're going to take our response to the pandemic, to the COVID-19, together with our response to HIV and TB together. It is important that we use our limited resources very efficiently by focusing on targeted intervention and integrating our programs for even greater impact. We call upon our leaders across various sectors of society, political divide, to ensure that the public funds that are allocated for COVID-19 response are not misused and misappropriated. Any acts of corruption will be dealt with as they deny us with the speedy response towards defeating this pandemic. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable Nita.
Yeah, I've got a supplementary
response.
Mandibulele kakhulu kuwe mhlali ngaphambili obekekileyo, ndibulise kwindlu yowiso-mthetho nakusekela mongameli. Ndibulele nangempendulo ecacileyo andinike yona kumbuzo ebendithe ndawubuza. Kodwa ke ndiyafuna ukubuza nangakumbi sekela mongameli kuba siye saqwalasela ingxubakaxaka phakathi kwabantu abathi bathathe iipilisi zonyango lwesandulela ngculazi, phakathi kwabo kwakunye nabo bathe banelungelo lokubanga umcwangco apha phakathi kwethu, amapolisa ke ukutsho. Ndifuna uqonda ke ngoku ukuba ingaba phakathi kwamapolisa kwakunye naba bantu bebemele ukuyolanda iipilisi zabo zonyango, belikhona na ithuba apho abathe kwacaciselwa abantu ukuba kuza kwenziwa njani? Ngoba kaloku ngelo xesha leli sonke besikumo yonxunguphalo, sivaleleke amakhaya, engekho umntu omele uba uyaphuma phandle. Yaqala apho ke sekela mongameli ingxubakaxaka. So ndifuna uqonda nje ke ngokuba bekuthethwa-thethwenwe njani uqinisekisa into yoba loo nto ayenzeki. Enkosi sihlalo wendlu yowiso-mthetho.
No, Siyabulele. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. With the announcement of the lockdown by the President, that necessitated that all of us we stay in one place and ensure that we limit our movements, except for certain categories of people that are responsible to do certain very important work, like your frontline workers, your health workers, that were allowed to do their work in all the provinces. They were supported by your HIV and AIDS, TB workers in each and every province. So we call these workers combined. These are frontline workers, which were permitted to do their work because these are the people that were testing, that were screening, that were following some contacts. And in the process, these frontline workers were allowed to support and assist people with HIV and AIDS, people with TB. I must say, Honorable Speaker, that our figures are showing that the rate of recovery of people affected by TB is showing some improvement. That means people are adhering to their drug, to their medication. They are not really skipping their drug. They are supported by our workers in the different provinces. So yes, as much as all of us were locked down, our frontline workers, our medical teams were out there working. We must take this opportunity to congratulate them. Some of them had to put down their lives for the sake of all of us because they were there screening and testing people. And finally, some were affected by this COVID-19. These are people who love their country, who died in the line of duty. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Deputy President, will now move over to Honorable Dodovu.
I've got a supplementary question, Chair.
And who are you?
Landamela.
Landamela. Okay. There can only be 4 people, 4 supplementary questions.
My hand was raised long ago, Chair.
We'll start with the Dodovu. China Dodovu. Honorable Dodovu.
Chair, I was not on the queue for this question. I don't know who's on the queue, is not for me.
On raise your hand function here in front of me. Your name has been there. I think there's a bit of a problem about coordination. We'll ask the table to really please assist us. So we'll move on then to Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyathokoza kakhulu sihlalo hloniphekile ngibingelele Honorable Deputy President of the country. Honorable Deputy President, funds were redirected to a very important mission of fighting COVID-19. But in the process, the funds that were redirected to COVID-19 were looted. The corruptors corrupted this money. As a result, like you said, our frontline staff in many departments had to be put in danger because some of the unions even considered protest and picketing at the workplace because of shortages of PPEs. All this caused by the fact that funds were looted and corrupted. Now, what I would like to know, Honorable Deputy President, is what is government going to do to ensure that, one, the culprits are arrested, and two, to ensure that the culprits are made to pay back the money that they have corrupted? Not the usual suspensions, Deputy President, not the usual commissions, because they don't bite. Commissions don't bite, your suspensions don't bite, people go on suspension and they still get paid. And when they come back for DC, it's just a slap on their hand. I want to know from you, on behalf of the people of South Africa, how are you going to get this money back and to arrest all the culprits so that they face the full might of the law? Thank you, Mhlonishwa. Siyathokoza ukuthi ubuyile.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. This is a very unfortunate situation that has happened, where as a country we were all getting our energies facing this very storm. This storm that has taken away lives. We have put everything that we can to fight this. And in the process, money was misappropriated. The president has spoken about this. And the real answer to this, as a country, we must be agile. We must be ready to confront such situation wherever they happen. That means we need to build very strong institutions. In our country, therefore, we need to support your NPA, all your law enforcement agencies. It is important that we support them, we capacitate them to deal with corruption. It is not only, if you look at it, you can say it's only corruption in government. I would say no. Those people who are in government, they live within a society. That means this virus that has attacked those people who are in government, who are working in government, has also infected society. That means corruption is now spreading in our society. Remember that those people who are supplying these PPEs are business people, companies in the private sector. So you can see now that this corruption is now involving the two sectors, the public sector as well as the private sector. Therefore, we need to step up our fight. And the only way to stepping up our fight is to have very strong institutions that can weather the storm. Even in good times and in bad times, those institutions must stand strong and protect the country. And it's quite clear that since the advent of democracy, we've been seeing this element of corruption growing. And this probably presents an opportunity for us really to take time and strengthen this institution so that we deal decisively with corruption. Otherwise, corruption can destroy all the gains we have made as a country and as a nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, since the 1st of December 2019, This is the first time I've heard you mention anything about HIV/AIDS. And I thank you for that. We all are aware that there was lockdown, etc., etc. But Honourable Deputy President, on ground level, the story that is painted is completely different. We do our oversight, and speaking to many people that have contracted HIV/AIDS and TB, they have not visited clinics because they're too afraid to contract the COVID-19 as well. And they have not been visited by any medical people like our clinic, nursing staff, etc., etc. This is very, very disconcerting, as these people need to be able to take their medication on a regular basis. They cannot skip. And by not visiting them, they are then forfeiting their medication and putting them, as I said, in a position of danger, if I can use that, and susceptible to other diseases. It's very good to hear from you that you visited the Free State and handed out certificates and so forth. But what I'd like to know from you today, Honourable Deputy President, is seeing that we are in lockdown 2, would you commit today to go out to any area like you've done with handing out certificates to our frontline workers, whom I thank, and visit people with HIV/AIDS and TB, and to obtain information on how the virus is impacting on them, and share these steps that you will take to assist these vulnerable patients in obtaining their medication on time, together with, at the same time, protecting them against the impact of COVID-19. I thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to Honourable Boshoff. It might be helpful to get exactly the list of those people that were exposed to Honourable Boshoff, so that they can be assisted. Honourable Boshoff will be aware that as the Department of Health and Government, we are aware that as a country, we have got approximately 7.5 million people who are living with HIV and AIDS. Now, these figures has been confirmed as of March 2020. Now, 5.3 million of these people are already on treatment. That means they are receiving antiretroviral treatment. By implication, it means there's a missing 2.2 million people that are supposed to be introduced, and we took it upon ourselves to go out there and find those people. It is our responsibility as the South African National AIDS Council, the civil society, government, and business to go out there and find those people and introduce them into the treatment. So if you have happened to come across some of these people, please, let's help them, let's introduce them into treatment. There are people that are missing, TB patients that are missing. According to our calculation, we've got 128,000 missing TB people that are affected by TB. So gradually, we are going out there to test people, and we're encouraging people to come forward on their own to go and test. And after testing, if they find that they are positive, they must take treatment. We've got enough medication in our institutions. There is no doubt that all our patients are receiving medication on time because it is available in all our institutions. We have not had a situation where we ran out of medication, especially antiretroviral drugs. They are available. So yes, we are going to go out there. We have got this COVID-19. We're looking at the second wave of the infection. Mindful, we're going to take precautions. We're going to follow the restrictions as announced by government, but the intention is for all of us to go out there and deal with this missing number of people that must be introduced to treatment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Zandamela, Honorable Zandamela.
No, thanks, Chairperson. Deputy President, considering all allegations of corruption that have surfaced in the Eastern Cape with regard to the allocation and management of COVID-19 relief funds. Now, Deputy President, was it a wise idea to implement austerity measures and redirect funds away from much needed services towards the COVID-19, only for those funds to be squandered? Thank you, Chairperson.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thanks to the Honorable Member. When we took the decision to redirect resources in order to strengthen our fight against COVID-19, we did that in a way of trying to protect our people and to get the health system to be ready to deal with any eventuality. Unfortunately, we never knew that some of these monies would get stolen along the way. But that does not mean the intention to redirect resources to fight COVID-19 was a wrong decision. I still insist it was the right decision, but we must, as government, as a society, as people, we must uproot these elements within society, within government, that are corrupt, because corruption can destroy what is good for the country. So really, we must not be ashamed that we have taken this decision to redirect resources to fight this COVID-19. Not aware that along the line, some people will steal these resources. But like we've said, we are going to strengthen our institutions, and we hope all those who have stolen, who have misappropriated these monies will be found. We are going to strengthen our institutions. We are going to support them with the necessary resources, so that with the necessary human resource, so that they are capable of dealing with the scourge of corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We now come to question number 10, asked by Honorable Mukause. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We want to reaffirm the response we gave during our oral session in the National Assembly on the 25th of June 2020 on a similar question regarding the investigation of allegation against the Chief Operating Officer of ESCOM. As stated, we have no basis where we are sitting to doubt the fairness and the integrity of the investigation process as conducted against the COO. The report makes no reference to any hindrance experienced by the senior counsel in carrying out this investigation and in compiling this report. Section 9(3) of the Constitution states that the state may not unfairly discriminate directly or indirectly against anyone or anyone on more grounds, including race, gender, sex, age, disability, religion, etc. That is why the governing party aptly outlined this in its 2019 election manifesto, that amongst its key priorities is to advance nation building and social cohesion by stepping up the fight against racism, sexism, homophobia, and other intolerances that exist in our society. It will be therefore incorrect to suggest that senior executives at ESCOM are protected from disciplinary processes on the basis of their color, of their skin. Let us give space to the board and management of ESCOM to do their work. And at an appropriate time, honorable members of this House would find time to engage with the report and ask the necessary questions that they want to ask. Let us work together and desist from divisive statements which are not contributing to social cohesion and nation building. We have got a responsibility to hold this nation and to build this nation. We further reiterate as government that we remain committed to clean governance, and that is why we appointed a competent, experienced, and capable board, which is expected to effect clear mechanisms to hold all people and the executives accountable in ESCOM. It is our expectation that the board is empowered to run the affairs of that entity in a diligent manner and adopt a zero tolerance for corruption, including any conduct that undermines our efforts of building a financially sustainable energy utility that is orientated to meet its developmental imperatives. As we focus on restructuring ESCOM into an efficient and financially sustainable utility, we are clear that the board and the executive management must put in place the necessary mechanisms and systems that will tackle any acts of corruption, including legacy issues that have contributed to the current state of ESCOM. This includes taking the necessary action through due processes against anyone found to have been involved in corruption. We find comfort on the commitment that was expressed by the CEO that anyone who's found to have done anything wrong, the CEO and the executive, they will act. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Deputy President. Now I follow up a supplementary question from Mukause. Honorable Mukause.
Thank you, Chairperson of the NCOP. Mr. Deputy President, despite interest being expressed and a commitment made to clean up.
All right, the Deputy President answering parliamentary questions there at the National Council of Provinces. Just some important notes I kind of jotted down that came out of that question and answer session. Questions about SOEs, whether or not there are plans to privatize.
Procurement policy, while others with allegations leveled against them were severely dealt with, punished, some were even fired. How so? Why is the ESCOM COO so powerful? ESCOM's management structure remains dominated by arrogant, incapable, racist, white males, despite talks of transformation, even within the board of ESCOM, to act on all what is happening within ESCOM. Why is the minister so superior even to the president and the deputy president? In your own words on public platform, you once said you were misled relating to load shedding. Can we safely say, Mr. President, that ESCOM has gone to the dogs? The Minister of Public Enterprises refuses to save the power utility. And why are you still keeping him there? Because he keeps on failing to save the power utility. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think the allegations of racism that are raised by the Honorable Member are worth to be investigated. These are very serious allegations. As a country, we stand opposed to racism. So we are not going to take these allegations very lightly. But with regards to the COO, an investigation was conducted by an independent person appointed by the board. A report has been produced. We did not receive any acts of intimidations, any hindrances that were encountered by the team, the person that was investigating. And the report that has been tabled does not find anything wrong against the COO. So it would be incorrect really to say in the public that the COO has done anything wrong. Because the report that I hope in the final analysis will find its way to Parliament, and you will at a later stage find an opportunity to interrogate the report yourselves and interrogate the board so that this misunderstanding that it looks like there's something that is hidden and there are people that are being protected can be cleared. I must say that I'm one person that I'll be firm. I'll do my work and ensure that the utility is being transformed, the utility is being assisted so that it can give energy to the country. So we're going to assist ESCOM to deal with corruption. In the task team, we're dealing with a list of cases that are put before us, not for discussion, but for us to note that there's this case, there's this case, there's this case, these are under investigation, they've referred them to the law enforcement agencies. There's a lot of work that is being done. And I'm sure at the final analysis, these cases will be made public. The current leadership of ESCOM is doing everything in its power to restore governance, to deal with corruption, to ensure that a new culture of working is brought into ESCOM. So I've got no doubt really with that leadership, and I've got no reason not to support them. Standing here, I'm going to support them because supporting them, I'm supporting all efforts that are meant to help the power utility. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. We'll move over to Honorable Tim Protestant. Honorable Tim.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy President, the Public Administration Act signed into law by President Zuma in December 2014 proudly boasted the establishment of a unit to promote integrity, ethics, and discipline in the civil service. 6 years have passed and still this unit does not exist. The unit was supposed to, inter alia, conduct lifestyle audits on senior officials and the cabinet. Mr. Deputy President, will you follow the lead of the Western Cape government and fast-track the lifestyle audits of cabinet ministers and senior officials? And will you lead by example, sir? And will you submit yourself and your records for the first lifestyle audit to be conducted? I thank you.
Deputy President.
Well, thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson, I was not part of this administration when those decisions were taken. And of course, there was an announcement by the President that lifestyle audit is going to be carried out by this administration, and I want us to leave it to the President. And if that is done, all of us will be subjected to that decision by the President. I don't think we are different from any other person in the administration, in the 6th administration. And I'm sure if all processes have been put in place and this lifestyle audit is being implemented and agreed upon, all of us are going to present ourselves. There are no qualms and fusses about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable China Dodovu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I'm quite confident that with the work that the government is doing to clean up ESCOM as an important electricity utility in the country, that we are going to ensure that it is quite competent and is able to deliver on its mandate. And part of that is that the government has appointed a very capable, talented, inclusive board of directors to guide and provide leadership to ESCOM, which is quite commendable, and it must keep up the good work that it is doing, especially in the last 2 years. Now, my question is to check with the Deputy President that other than appointing a capable board of directors of ESCOM to deal with all the challenges facing it, what are other systems that the government specifically has put up in place to ensure that it deals with all the challenges that ESCOM is facing, so that ESCOM must continue to contribute to the economic growth and development of our country? What are those systems and measures other than appointing a very capable board that is beginning to turn the tide in ESCOM? Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Well, besides the appointment of the board which the board finally has appointed the CEO and other executive directors in the utility, in the company, that continues to strengthen the ability and the capacity of ESCOM, which is a good outcome. The president has appointed the task team led by the deputy president with ministers that are related to this function of energy to further give support to ESCOM with all the other challenges that might arise. So we'll be able to coordinate ourselves and find a way of assisting. But beyond that, the president has directed Treasury to look at ways and means of really dealing with the debt that is faced by ESCOM. As much as part of this problem of the financial viability of ESCOM is dealt by the task team, but the bigger part of this debt is being looked at by National Treasury. Our part is to ensure that those who owe ESCOM must pay. And that includes national departments, municipalities, as well as ordinary citizens. Therefore, it will be appropriate to once more call upon our people to pay for the electricity that they use. It's the right thing to do. Otherwise, we're going to collapse this entity. If we connect illegally to the system, if we steal energy, and if we don't pay for the energy that we consume. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll now move over to question number 11. Question number 11 has been asked by Honorable Oshoff. So we'll move to question number 11, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Firstly, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you, Chairperson, for your understanding and empathy in allowing some changes in your program as a result of my inability to appear before you on some scheduled dates due to ill health. Our commitment to the culture of accountability remains strong and will continue to accord this House the respect it deserves. The details of programs which have been requested are part of the responsibilities that have been delegated by the President to the Deputy President for strategic leadership and coordination. These programs are directed towards ensuring that South Africa's poverty alleviation program realizes the democracy dividend as summarized in the preamble of our Constitution, that of improving the quality of life of all our citizens and freeing the potential of each and every person. In the same list of delegated responsibilities, there is also support to the President in building a better Africa as a special envoy to the Republic of South Sudan to facilitate their peace process. This is the work that intensified in the latter part of last year and early part of this year, where we engage in the peace process facilitation on the 13th January 2020, the 4th of January, the 6th of February, and the 22nd of February, which was the culmination of the coming into effect of the revitalized transitional government of national unity in South Sudan. We are very happy and proud of the achievement of the people of South Sudan, led by President Salva Kiir, and the opposition, led by Deputy President, Vice President Riek Machar. They've demonstrated their love for their own country. On the 18th February this year, the President further delegated the responsibility of being chairperson of the political task team on ESCOM, which is an institutional coordinating platform of key players within government to provide leadership and technical assistance towards the resolution of all challenges that are facing ESCOM. This adds to other responsibilities that are not covered in the original delegation of responsibility from the President. However, what the honorable member is effectively asking of us is to provide a diary of meetings since the beginning of this year in relation to some of the delegated responsibilities. We do think that will not be really helpful than sharing what we have done in advancing these areas of work in the period under review. We are going to further do that in writing and provide the honorable member with the list of meetings that we have attended. On coordinating government programs to accelerate land reform and support agriculture, the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture held a meeting on the 21st of February. The meeting was seized itself with a plan of action for the allocation of land parcels that are ready for release, including the release and utilization of government-owned land for agricultural production and human settlement, integrated funding model for agriculture, and analysis of all land-related legislation. Furthermore, the meeting considered government's response to drought, its impact on the agricultural sector and water shortages in the drought-stricken provinces. This followed the visit we have undertaken to the Northern Cape province in October 2019 to assess the impact of drought in the area. We took note of measures planned to address the drought in an intensified and integrated manner within the context of the district development model, and also agreed to revisit timeframes in responding to and declaration of national state of disaster. This finally has led to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs declaring South Africa as a national disaster area owing to the impact of persisting drought conditions in many parts of the country and provinces. Following our response to the challenges of drought, the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic was declared as a national state of disaster on the 15th of March, 2020. This has since meant reprioritization by government and all sectors of society towards focusing on the implementation of the country's COVID-19 8 stages of our response plan. In effort of maintaining a dedicated balance between saving lives and livelihoods, the National Coronavirus Command Council has held weekly meetings to date, presented to Cabinet regulation related to risk-adjusted approach of the nationwide lockdown, and championed economic, social, and health plans towards countering the COVID-19 pandemic and its undesirable effects. We must, however, indicate that the Deputy President is part and parcel of all those who are participating in the National Command Council that is chaired by the President. We're encouraged by the partnership that we have been formed with various national and provincial stakeholders, which demonstrated active citizenry in the fight against COVID-19. This work continues in advancing behavioral change and encouraging adherence to the set of health protocols across society, and addressing the threat of hunger and poverty. It's also important to also call on our people to ensure that they observe these protocols, social distancing, the wearing of masks, and ensure that they wash their hands all the time. In the same spirit of reversing the ills of the past through the revitalization of our rural areas and township, the Office of the Deputy President has continued to engage and to work with the National Planning Commission, provinces, and other stakeholders over the two colloquiums held on the 12th and the 23rd to the 24th June 2020. The focus of this work has now been expanded to taking into consideration implication of the COVID-19 pandemic on our country's transformation agenda. A spotlight has been shown on informal and small businesses in rural areas and townships to ensure that their specific realities are taken into account as the country's economic recovery is being conceptualized, towards ensuring that these economies are supported to play their rightful role in society. Government has also reinforced COVID-19 economic response interventions for small businesses and the informal sector. As a result, during our COVID-19 oversight visit to the Free State and Northwest provinces on the 5th and the 12th of June, respectively, provinces have been encouraged to establish structures that will focus on coordinating efforts to resuscitating economic activity at district level, and also continuing to measure their province's growth on an ongoing basis. In the same spirit of ensuring sustainable strategic nodal investment, the Office of the Deputy President continues to work closely with the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the institutionalization of the district development model.
As you conclude, the Deputy President.
Priority districts and service delivery hotspots. I can see that Honorable Chairperson is requesting me to.
It's the time, President, Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary question. The first supplementary question by Honorable Poshoff.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Deputy President, considering the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that the debt relief support is in such a mess, as well as the continuous UIF debacles and the latest debacle that we read about with the suspension of inter alia the commissioner and the CFO due to alleged corruption, which has left many citizens in an even more destitute position. I would like to know from you, Honorable Deputy President, as custodian of the anti-poverty initiatives, you've spoken widely, you've given us information on what you are doing, but have you initiated any interventions to ensure that this debacle at the UIF and the debt relief scheme and the SASSA debacles are speedily resolved to ensure that all those who qualify receive what is owed to them? Because we can no longer be contacted by these people on a daily basis saying that they are in dire straits because government has failed them.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I must, however, request that we must create a communication line between ourselves and Honorable Boshoff, because all of us, we represent and work for the country, so that some of these cases and the people that are phoning must get assisted. Now, collectively, as the Command Council, realizing the impact of COVID-19, under the leadership of the President, we decided to assist our vulnerable people in society by, first of all, ensuring that we provide food parcels. Now, that was done by the Department of Social Development. Of course, there were hiccups. Some food parcels were misdirected, could not go to the rightful beneficiaries. And that program of food parcel is still ongoing, even currently.
We'll ask the table to please assist there. Yeah. We seem to be muted there, Deputy President. We couldn't hear the last part of what you're saying. I hope we didn't lose much. Ask the table again to please assist. The last part, Deputy President, was not audible. If you can just repeat the last sentence or two. Once again, I'm requesting the table there to assist and ensure that we hear the last part of what the Deputy President was saying. Maybe a sentence or two right at the end. Deputy President, are you there?
Chair, we are still trying to assist. Apparently, it's because of load shedding.
Oh. I'm in trouble.
Yes, Chair, I think to unmute.
Yes. Deputy President, just the last two sentences, right at the end, there's a summary of what you're saying.
Chair, the Deputy President is muted.
Can you unmute, please? DP unmute.
Unmute.
Thank you. Honorable Chairperson, am I audible now?
You're audible now, you're audible now.
Thank you very much. Sorry for that disruption. we're saying the monies that were mishandled and misappropriated in the UIF scheme of assisting our vulnerable people, that has been attended to. I'm assured that our law enforcement agencies are really dealing with this matter. Now, as government, we were quite aware of the severe pressure that our people faced during this lockdown because they were entirely at home. Some of them have lost their jobs. That is why we agreed on this suite of support, food parcels, UIF intervention, trying to assist companies. Now, in the process then, some people found an opportunity to steal the money. And in that way, we are activating the law enforcement agencies to ensure that those monies are recovered. Thank you very much.
Now, thank you very much. We'll now proceed to question. Before that, we'll now proceed to the second supplementary question by Honorable Lutuli. Honorable Lutuli.
Ngiyabonga Chairperson. Sekela Mongameli, siyaqonda ukuthi ubungekho ehhovisi lakho isikhathi esiningi kulonyaka wezimali. Sendikwazi ukuthi ubuqoke bani ukuthi abantu imininingwane yokuthi bekwenzekalani office lakho. Uma ngabe Sekela Mongameli engakunikezile imininingwane singayithola phi lo mininingwane yokuthi kwenzakaleni ngesikhathi ukade ungekho office lakho. Ngiyabonga.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I must say to the honorable member that I was not in office for almost a month. And all meetings that I was supposed to attend and convene were then shifted. Meetings that are convened by the President, Cabinet, National Command Council, I then tendered my apology. So, correctly speaking, we must pick up where we've ended. We must call those meetings, like this coming Friday, we are having the IMC on land reform, which was supposed to be held prior. So we're picking up on this program and mindful that the pressure on the COVID-19 response is starting to ease down, and ministers are more like relieved and free to attend to a number of responsibilities. I must say that the COVID-19 program took almost all our time. The Command Council, if we give you that list of meetings that we've attended, you will realize that the Command Council meeting dominated the meetings during this COVID-19 period. In the main, all energies and focus was given to COVID-19. So a lot of Command Council meetings were called, some during weekends, Saturday and Sunday, respectively. Now, I'm happy that all the efforts of our colleagues in Cabinet, led by the President, is starting to bear some fruits. We can see that the effect of the pandemic is starting to slow down. The rate of infection is going down. The number of people that are dying, everything is showing some signs of going down. However, we must caution our people that there might be a second wave of this infection. So our behavior must not must change. We must ensure that we keep the distance amongst ourselves, the required distance. We wear our mask all the time. We ensure that we clean our hands, because it looks like for the foreseeable future, we are going to live with the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Malika, the third supplementary question.
Thank you, Chairperson. May you please allow me to wish our First Lady of Mpumalanga a blessed happy birthday. Happy birthday, our Honorable Premier, Refilwe Mtweni Sipani.
Not the first lady, she's the first citizen.
Oh, thank you for the correction, the first citizen.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Premier. Honorable Deputy President, I would like also to join other members of the Council in expressing the utmost support of the work that you do, and also wish you a good health. Your response has demonstrated that you remain in the forefront of our national efforts to not only wage a tireless war against HIV and AIDS, poverty, and the COVID-19 pandemic. In your work at SANEC, to what extent has SANEC been working jointly with the various structures that were at the forefront of guiding government respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in ensuring that we have a comprehensive response that takes into cognizance the vulnerable of those with HIV and AIDS? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malika. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thanks to the Honorable Member. Well, in the intervening period since the declaration of COVID-19 lockdown, we managed to hold one IMC meeting on the South African National AIDS Council, and we managed to hold one plenary of the South African National AIDS Council. In the main, we're not able to hold a few meetings because we gave our attention, all our attention to COVID-19. And in the process, we carried along, as the Department of Health, as government, we carried along programs that seeks to fight HIV, to fight TB, to fight malaria. All other programs of the Department of Health were carried. So I can say without any fear of contradiction that we have been able to pull the programs on HIV, been able to pull the programs on TB, and we have not redirected resources away from those programs. As much as we were putting more attention on COVID-19 and the success that we have achieved as a country. So yes, we are now going to speak up on the work of the South African National AIDS Council as we easing the restrictions. We are going to try and get moving and increase our movement and our contact with people. but still, we're still observing the restrictions currently. That is why we're still meeting in this way as the Council of Provinces. We're meeting virtually because we're still trying to observe some limitations and the restrictions that are imposed by government in a way of trying to save our people from the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. The last supplementary question will come from Honorable Okam. Honorable Okam.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Deputy President, with reference to the implementation of rapid response interventions in hotspots in 2019, you were tasked with the duty to undertake a service delivery monitoring visit to Sebokeng in the Mfuleni district to inspect the Sedibeng regional sewer scheme, which you did, and you also indicated your utter disappointment at the slow progress and vowed to return within 2 weeks for a follow-up visit. Now, Deputy President, considering that this follow-up visit did take place, what was the outcome of this meeting? As the experience on the ground is that nothing has changed, with more leaks being reported than ever before, more sewer flowing down the streets. The situation on the streets is actually very devastating. What are your visions or your opinion on that? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, we visited the area of Sebokeng almost twice. The problem of the sewer spillage there, it's very worrisome. It's an indication of neglect of that infrastructure for a long time. The spillage is all over and is causing some health hazard to children and to all the people staying there. It's a very dire situation. That is why the president took a decision to deploy the defense force to go and assist. And I must take this opportunity to thank the members of the defense force for the work. They did a very sterling work because all the plants that were blocked, and sewer is now being recycled. Some of the areas that were blocked were unblocked. I can say half of the work when we visited there was achieved, but there was still a bigger part of the work that still left unattended. And we were told by the Defense Force that they were waiting some payments from there and there because the department, it's not having money, it's not utilizing its own money. The Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation is the one responsible. And on that day when we were there, they confirmed that an amount of money is going to be paid to the Defense Force so that they continue. And we followed up that commitment, and indeed that money was paid. Progress on the builds program, it was quite satisfactory, but we needed to do more. I was really not quite happy about the progress, given the extent of the problem. Because the problem, if you go there, it's really, it calls for attention. I mean, you can't live in that environment without really doing something. So I'm really calling upon all those that are there to try and speed up their programs and ensure that we deal with this crisis. Otherwise, this is going to be a health hazard. Your concern, honorable member, is well placed. It's well placed. Your criticism is well placed. Those who are supposed to do something there must stand up and do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We now come to question number 12, asked by Honorable Muima. Question number 12 asked by Honorable Muima. Will request the Deputy President to respond. Deputy President, question number 12.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
The last question.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Honorable Chairperson, the Infrastructure Investment Plan, which Cabinet approved on the 27th of May 2020, is in response to the recognition that public infrastructure spending has been declining in recent years. This plan responds to the call made by the President in February this year to leaders of development finance institutions that the overall infrastructure spending in South Africa's investment needs must grow by 30% in the coming years to achieve the National Development Plan growth targets. In the face of the current economic and social challenges that have been brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, our infrastructure investment plan is the main driver that can only reignite South Africa's infrastructure-led economic recovery. On the 23rd of June this year, during the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, President officially launched the Infrastructure Investment Plan following a process of consultation with premiers, members of provincial executive committees responsible for public works and infrastructure, and the South African Local Government Association. The plan provides a comprehensive focus on infrastructure investment in the immediate, medium, and long term. And also the plan deals with all aspects of infrastructure life cycle. The project outlined in this plan will be implemented through the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium methodology for project planning, project assessment, and evaluation towards building a comprehensive infrastructure project pipeline that aligns infrastructure investment to the development goals of our country. These infrastructure projects addresses the following: energy, water, sanitation, roads and bridges, human settlement, health and education, digital infrastructure, and transport. As this project will be implemented in the community spaces of our ordinary citizens, the approach to their immediate implementation will be based on the following principles: ensuring spatial justice and advancing social cohesion, promoting job creation in the process with specific focus on women, youth, and persons living with disabilities, ensuring that skills are transferred, localization and the empowerment of small, medium, and micro enterprises. To achieve sustainability over the medium to long term, the current National Infrastructure Plan will be expanded to a National Infrastructure Plan 2045. in accordance with the principles contained in the Infrastructure Development Act, Act number 23 of 2014. As per the mechanism of this act, projects that are of economic significance and social importance will be prioritized. This will build on the progress we've made in developing new economic centers through special economic zones, revitalization of industrial sites, as well as business and digital hubs that are located and spread across various provinces of our country. These are also based on a comparative advantages of each and every province and its location. The long-term infrastructure plan will ensure both stability and consistency in the planning, investment, implementation, and maintenance of infrastructure in the short, medium, and long term. This will also see provinces re-establishing technical and financial engineering capacity, which we have seen being reduced within the state over time. Coupled with this are the technical, financial, legislative, and developmental reforms that Cabinet approved and that are relied on for infrastructure implementation to be prioritized. These reforms, Honorable Chairperson, are in the process of being actioned. In order to ensure that the trend of underspending on infrastructure across all spheres of government and state-owned entities is corrected. For its part, Cabinet has approved the evolution of Investment and Infrastructure Office in the Presidency to become Infrastructure South Africa. This is part of the reconfigured Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to ensure a single entry point for all infrastructure assessment, coordination, and prioritization of investment, which will in turn report to the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission.
As we move towards
this development,
Deputy President, as you move towards concluding.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This development ensures that the strategic focus for investment and infrastructure in the country is located at the highest level to streamline planning and execution. Infrastructure South Africa will assess and evaluate all infrastructure projects, ensuring that they are aligned to the key priorities of the country, as well as being technically, legally, and financially viable. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
No, thank you, Deputy President. We now move over to the first supplementary question from Honorable Muima.
Thank you.
Honorable
Thank you.
Ask the table to assist there. You are not audible, Honorable Muima.
Opportunity. Indeed.
Yes, that's better. Just start again.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think the Deputy President has, in a much more eloquent way, responded to the questions that I posed. More so given the fact that yesterday we had an opportunity to get presentation from the Minister of Public Works and Dr. Ramo Kopa on the very same issue. So therefore, I don't have any follow-up questions to make, other than indeed just asserting the fact that indeed the Deputy President has affirmed that indeed the quality of infrastructure is important in terms of ensuring that our economy is more efficient, and that it also improves productivity and raises long-term growth and living standards. This means that infrastructure investment will not only change South Africa's economic prospect over the medium term to long term, it can also mitigate the short-term impact of COVID-19. However, to capitalize on the economic benefits of infrastructure investment, we need to ensure that it forms partnership, plan and implement it in the best and most innovative way. And that is exactly what the Deputy President has articulated, affirming indeed that the leadership that they are providing to infrastructure development and growth in the country is much more efficient. Thank you, National Chair.
Well, as all of us have heard, Honorable Mwimang has not asked a supplementary question, but has utilized the space to make a comment or two. We'll now proceed to Honorable Lindwe Bebe. Honorable Lindwe.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu sihlalo wendlu. Ngibingelele usekela mongameli ohloniphekile. Ngokukhethekile nama-delegates aphuma wonke ama-province esinawo. Kanye nabami ke abakwaZulu Natal abalapha kwethu. Sekela mongameli, sibonge ukuthi uphosile umbalane. Okusho ukuthi siyabonga ukuthi uphilile kwenye nathi namhlanje. Sekela mongameli ohloniphekile, enye yezinto ezibaluleke kakhulu ekwakhiweni kabusha kwezingqalasizinda phecelezi infrastructure ukuba neqhinga elizokwenza ukuthi sikwazi ukukhulisa inzuzo ifinyelele kumaphesenti angama-30 ngonyaka ka-2030 ukuze sikwazi futhi sifinyelele ezinhlosweni esinazo. Lokhu kuzodinga ukuthi uhulumeni akwazi ukwenza imizamo edingekayo emikhakheni yezimali, ubuchwepheshe kanye nobunjineyela emkhakheni ezimele naleyo engasese, meaning private sector ne-private sector, i-private sector ne-public sector. Nokuthi ke sekela mongameli, yiphi indima edlalwa yizimboni ezizimele ekusizeni nokulwa nalolu bhubhane lokhovane esinalo esibhekene nalo okuthi phecelezi ukhovane u-COVID-19. Ngiyabonga sekela mongameli, ngibonge nakuwena sihlalo onginikeza ithuba.
Asibonge, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think the decision by the President to focus on infrastructure, it's based on the assertion that we must, as a country, invest more and more of our resources, move away from consumption into investment. So infrastructure offers us that platform to invest the money that we have for the foreseeable future, and that investment will help lift the growth of the country to a different level. Therefore, it is very important as a country to support this initiative, to support the creation of the infrastructure fund, and call upon business to partner with government and ensure that we invest, we lift up our investment. This has been done after realizing that our investment as a country is not enough. Investment in infrastructure is not enough. We're not investing enough on roads. We're not investing enough on social infrastructure, on economic infrastructure. So we must do more. So this initiative must be supported. When it comes to the support by business in the fight against COVID-19, we must thank all those who have contributed to the Solidarity Fund. I must say, Honorable Member, business has contributed. Without singling individual business people, we want to thank all of them who have contributed to the Solidarity Fund so that together as a country we can fight this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable Tim, please proceed. Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, the announcement of the Infrastructure Development Fund announced earlier this year envisaged the establishment of an implementing entity, Infrastructure South Africa, to be housed under the umbrella of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Now, Honorable President, given the department's seeming inability to provide sufficient detail on this venture, coupled with the extremely sketchy history of clean infrastructure expenditure, for example, in Kandla, and more recently, the Bart Bridge fence fiasco, what measures has the Deputy President taken to ensure that this entity will be established with persons with the required integrity, skill, knowledge, in order to avoid this fund becoming yet another looting feast for connected hyenas in the National Democratic Revolution Mafia movement? I thank you.
Tim, I'm sure you know that the language we use should be very carefully chosen. Now, for you to speak of the mafia movement, it's really a bit of a problem. And you know that if you want to articulate those kinds of ideas, we need from you a motion to do so that the issues can be dealt with quite effectively without mincing any words, and everybody else have an opportunity to deal with them. So I will request you to please withdraw the word mafia movement.
Chairperson, my words are very well chosen. I think the country gets to the point. I withdraw.
Withdraw. Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure is doing everything in its power to strengthen the capacity of the department. We welcome that development, and we are going to support the Minister. But you'll understand that this infrastructure initiative, it's initiated at the presidency, driven by the president himself, with a whole lot of support that will be brought in to support, firstly, the fund, so that we get capable people to look after the fund. We're going to get capable professionals in the built environment to come and advise and support government. So this has been carefully looked at, mindful, of course, of our past experiences and we seek to improve from that. But that cannot deter us from really going forward and investing on our infrastructure and growing the opportunities of our country, the economy, and allowing more and more of our people to find employment, because we believe that by allowing this infrastructure program to be upscaled, we are going to have more and more of our people getting employed. Of course, it's not going to be permanent employment, but for that interval, when these projects are still being executed, our people are going to find employment. So we support this. We're mindful of the past that we think it's not good, and it only serves as a platform that can help us to improve our situation, improve the way we do business, improve our capacity, and improve our programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've now come to the end of the question session. Sesithi yasekala mongameli asibonge kuwe ithuba othe wazinika lona ukuba ube nathi lapha kwa NCOP. So your presence and your company has been greatly appreciated. As we do so, as the Deputy President departs for whatever other important responsibilities, please allow me to hand over to the Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Lucas, to take us to the next part of our program. Honorable Lucas.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable members, we will now proceed to the first order, the consideration of Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, National Assembly, and report of Select Committee on Security and Justice thereon. We call on the Honorable Sheikh, Chairperson of the committee, to present the committee report.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, honorable members of this council, good afternoon. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill was referred to the Select Committee on Security and Justice on the 18th of March 2020, and the committee would like to report as follows. On the 23rd of October 2018, the Constitutional Court in the Holomisa matter declared Section 7, subsection 3 of the Divorce Act 1979 to be constitutionally invalid to the extent that it excludes a spouse married out of community of property who has not entered into an antenuptial contract or an express declaration in terms of Section 39, subsection 2 of the now repealed Section 39 of the Trans-Kai Marriage Act 1978. The Constitutional Court found that Section 7, subsection 3 of the Divorce Act unfairly discriminates against women married under the Trans-Kai Marriage Act, as it excludes them from the benefits of a possible fair transfer of assets on divorce. The Constitutional Court ordered that the declaration of invalidity be suspended for 24 months to allow Parliament to remedy the legislative defect. The deadline, therefore, was the 22nd of October 2019. However, the Constitutional Court provided a read-in provision which will continue to apply until the amended legislation is passed and assented to. On the 13th of August 2018, in Corruption Watch and Others versus the President of the Republic of South Africa and others, the Constitutional Court declared Sections 12, subsections 4 and 6 of the National Prosecuting Authority Act 1998 to be constitutionally invalid, as these sections undermine and compromise the independence of the Office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. The Constitutional Court ordered that the declaration of invalidity be suspended for a period of 18 months to allow Parliament to remedy the legislative defect. The deadline, therefore, was the 12th of February 2020. However, once again, the Constitutional Court provided a read-in provision to apply until the remedial legislation is passed and assented to. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, briefly, the bill proposes to amend Section 7, subsection 3 of the Divorce Act 1979 to give effect to the judgment of the Constitutional Court in the Halamisa matter. The bill also proposes to amend Sections 12, subsections 4 and 6 of the National Prosecuting Authority Act 1998 by removing the powers of the President to extend the term of office of the National Director of Public Prosecution or a Deputy National Director, by providing that the period of suspension of the NDPP or a Deputy National Director may not exceed 12 months, and providing that these officials are entitled to their full salary during the period of suspension. The Select Committee received a briefing from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development on the 29th of May 2020, and thereafter advertised the bill for written submissions in print media, on electronic platforms, and various radio stations. The committee received a total of 10 written submissions. Only one stakeholder proposed an amendment that the 12-month suspension contained in clause 2 of the bill should remain 6 months as determined by the Constitutional Court. On the 15th of July 2020, the Select Committee received a briefing from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development on the written submissions. In respect of the proposed amendment regarding the 6-month suspension, the department informed the committee that setting up a disciplinary process was a lengthy procedure, and 6 months would be insufficient time to conclude the process. Hence, the 12-month suspension is contained in the bill. The committee was satisfied with the department's response to the written submissions and agreed to the adoption of the bill without any amendments. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, the Select Committee on Security and Justice, having considered the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, referred to it on the 18th of March 2020 and classified by the Joint Tagging Mechanism as a Section 75 bill, recommends that the National Council of Provinces pass the bill. I thank you, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sheikh. I will now put the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. But before we commence with the voting, I shall allow parties the opportunity to make their declarations to vote in terms of Rule 63. All declarations is about 3 minutes per declaration of vote. If they wish, can I have any indication if there is parties that want to make declaration?
EFF, Deputy Chairperson.
EFF, you may continue. Honorable Zandamela.
No, thank you, Deputy Chairperson. The EFF supports the amendments to the two matters dealt with in the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill. We welcome the amendment of the NPA Act that allows for the time period between the suspension and removal of the National Director or the Deputy National Director of the NPA by the President to not exceed 12 months. Deputy Chairperson, if we do not address this, the likelihood is that the NPA is then open to abuse and political manipulation. We also welcome the amendment of the Divorce Act. The amendment takes a progressive stance in recognizing customary practices in the African society as worthy to preservation and protection of our Constitution and by extension of our laws. The application of the Roman Dutch law as the only recognized rule of law of African lives in an African country has been nothing short of exclusionary and discriminatory. The recognition of equal rights and equal ownership of spouses, in particular women, in customary marriages is long overdue. It is of utmost importance that our laws, in line with our constitution, not only recognize African customs and laws, but ensure the rights of women are protected. The EFF supports the bill as part of redress and justice for women who have in the past been denied access to spouses because of Western laws that did not recognize the customary union of Africans. Therefore, Deputy Chairperson, the EFF supports the bill. Thank you.
Any other party? Any other party that want to make a declaration of vote? If none, we will now proceed to the voting, but we will also allow just about, they say 2 minutes, but we will just allow time for whips to indicate whether all the members are on board. And we will use the raise your hand function for the voting. This is individual voting since it's Section 75 legislation. So we will now continue. I'm sure everyone is back. Can we now proceed to the voting? Please note that each delegate, including special delegates, has one vote. And we have already put the question. So can those that are voting in favor raise their hands? And keep your hands raised until we tell you to.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Mushodi, I vote in favor.
Mushodi Zandamela.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Apology, Chairperson. I can't see the hand raised.
Okay, are you voting in favor, Honorable Cluster?
I'm voting in favor.
Honorable
Thank you, Chair.
Cluster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Kaula.
Kaula, are you voting in favor?
Chair, I'm voting in favor. Siyavuma sihlalo.
Baba Kaula, welcome back.
Siyathokoza sihlalo.
Chairperson,
have
you captured me, Chairperson?
Order, honorable members, honorable secretary, is the counting completed?
I hope, Deputy Chair, you see my hand?
I hope you Chief Whip, are you not supposed to vote on the system? Are you not supposed to vote on the system? It seems as if we've got.
Thank you.
Let's go to those that are voting against. The count is completed. Yes.
Sorry. Just allow us a minute. Just allow us a minute, Chair.
Yes, just keep your hands raised, those that are voting in favor.
Chair.
I'm listening.
Not yet.
Whoever is calling me, speak or forever hold your peace.
I'm Sandlana Smith from the Free State. I vote in favor.
Thank you, Sandlana.
And Boy is voting in favor. Boy.
Who is that? Who's that?
Marcela from Limpopo, I'm voting in favor.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Honorable Tulu from KZN, I'm voting in favor.
Tulu.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Honorable Mato from Limpopo, vote in favor.
Honorable Chair. Thank you,
Don't you
Madlopa.
find the radio in function, Honorable Nkiva? Matlopa?
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
thanks, Honorable Chair. We are voting in favor of this bill, Chair, from KZN.
Thank you.
Makoti, ngiyabonga.
Honorable from the Eastern
Honorable members. Advocate. Advocate. Can we take it?
We
that the
mustn't
voting
forget
is
to
not-
lower our hands.
Let's go to voting again, because there are so many people that indicated, and I don't know whether they are voting double. Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people that indicated that they are voting in favor. So I don't know whether they are voting, they are repeating. That's why I'm saying let me go to against, and then we can then gauge it. So
Mama Rehan, raise your hand.
assist us by lowering all the hands on the system.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Must
If,
we lower
members
our
can
hands?
now- No,
Yes,
we
you
will
can lower,
lower
but
the hands.
the
We shall
hosts will
lower.
lower. Most officials will lower it. Thank you. I want to continue. All of those that are voting against, please raise your hands. Modisa, are you voting against?
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
think.
No, ma'am.
Now, okay, and Honorable Nana, are you voting against? Elect, Elect, are you voting against?
Yo, where's Honorable Moodley, Nana? Call Honorable Moodley back.
Moody. No, I don't see any hands for voting against. Do you see any, advocate?
The House support all of us support this bill.
Same as if it's uniform. There is
Yes,
uniform
not
support.
Yes, there's nothing.
No one. No one against.
Mukause must indicate that the EFF support the bill.
Any
I
abstentions?
told you I wanted Mukause.
Any abstentions? If not, the voting is closed, and I don't have a number, but it seems as if we are united in our vote in favor of this legislation. Okay. Can I just, sorry,
56 members
voted for. With the 10 that I've counted. With the 10 that I've counted.
inclusive of the 10.
Inclusive of the 10. So
Correct,
all of
Ted.
us, I didn't see any against or any abstention. So all of us are voted for the bill, and the bill is agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We are quite progressive. We will now proceed to the second order of the day. Malibongwe, NCOP. We will now proceed to the second order of the day, consideration of report of Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Water and Sanitation and Human Settlements, notice of intervention issued in terms of Section 1391C and 5 of the Constitution, 1996 to Renosterburg, local municipality, Northern Cape. I now call on the Honorable Dodobu, Chairperson of the committee, to present the committee's report. Honorable Dodobu, over to you.
Deputy Chairperson of the Council of the National Council of Provinces, honorable members, both permanent and special delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, on the 2nd of September, the Select Committee of COGTA, Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation held its visual meeting where it fully investigated the circumstances under which the Northern Cape Provincial Government invoked Section 1391C and Section 1395 of the Constitution in the Renosterburg local municipality. With a small population of 11,000 people, the Renosterburg municipality is a Category B municipality within the Pixley-Kaseme district municipality and a plenary type of a municipality with a plenary executive system combined with a ward participatory system. Each council is constituted by 7 councillors from the ANC with 4 seats and the DA with 3 seats. By invoking these provisions of the Constitution on the 24th of August, it meant that the Northern Cape Provincial Government was satisfied that the council was unable to fulfill its executive obligations and other laws and that exceptional circumstances existed which warranted its dissolution. This intervention was subject to Section 1393, which calls for the provincial government to immediately submit a written notice of the dissolution to the Minister of COCTA and the NCOP, and that the dissolution would take effect 14 days from the date of receipt of the notice by the NCOP, unless it was set aside by the Cabinet Minister or the NCOP before the expiry of the 14 days. During its meeting yesterday, our committee, which is a multi-party committee consisting of members from the ANC, the DA, EFF, and IFP, interacted with both the internal and external stakeholders of the municipality to solicit their views and opinions on the procedural and substantive matters relating to its dissolution. In this regard, the Select Committee received submissions from 3 of the 7 councillors, the 4 political parties represented in the provincial legislature, namely the ANC, the DA, the EFF, and the Freedom Front Plus, as well as from SALGA. For the reason unknown and unexplained to the committee, the mayor, the municipal manager, and 3 other councillors failed to honor the invitation to present their views on to the meeting. The submissions by stakeholders were preceded by a presentation from Honorable Bentley Vass, the MEC for Costa in the Northern Cape. The MEC presented the circumstances and reasons which led to the decision to dissolve the Rustenburg Council, which broadly entailed the following: that the municipality was facing serious governance, administrative, and financial challenges, which resulted in the council failing to fulfill its executive obligations and meeting its financial commitments. That the council was facing an electricity crisis, which compelled the visit by the Premier of the province on the 20th of June this year. That the intergovernmental relations have collapsed to a point that the municipality displayed a posture of being dishonest and secretive about information, that it was refusing to attend meetings, that it was failing to implement the National Treasury's discretionary financial recovery plan, and that the municipality was refusing to accept the technical support on the municipal finance improvement program. That the failure by the municipality to appoint senior managers accountable to the municipal manager was a big problem, and instead the council appointed the municipal manager as the acting chief financial officer and the acting director corporate services in contravention of the Municipal Systems Act. That the statutory structures like the Municipal Public Accounts Committee and the Disciplinary Board were not in place. That the ESCOM debt has increased astronomically from 1.5 million rands to approximately 89 million rands, and the municipality was failing to effect third-party payments, notwithstanding the fact that the employees' salaries were deducted monthly. And lastly, that the communities of Kierkekloof and Van der Kloof were constantly without electricity for about 16 hours in a day, and not due to load shedding. In addition, ESCOM transformers were no longer being serviced regularly, affecting an important service point like the police station. According to the provincial government, all the above problems have not only placed the Rustenburg municipality in a dysfunctional state, but they have also impeded the municipality from fulfilling its executive obligations in terms of the Constitution. In order to address these problems, through Section 1391A, the Northern Cape government repeatedly directed the Rustenburg municipality to address the crisis situation, and the municipality has failed to respond and to cooperate with the provincial government. Premised on the above presentation by the Northern Cape provincial government and based on its analysis on the state of the municipality and the submissions that the different stakeholders made, the Select Committee is of a view that exceptional circumstances do exist to warrant the invocation of Section 1391C and Section 1395 of the Constitution. The existence of special circumstances is a prerequisite to the exercise of the power to dissolve any municipal council. The dissolution should be an appropriate step to remedy the situation if exceptional circumstances exist. Given the undesirable situation at the Renostelburg local municipality, the Select Committee submits that the decision to intervene in terms of Section 1391C and Section 1395 of the Constitution under the circumstances is justified and warranted in the Renostelburg municipality, and that exceptional circumstances do exist since all forms of support in terms of Section 154